How you doing?
I'm blessed. Thank you for the kind intro. But the most important part with we're friends, and that means a lot to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you. But today starts the opening ceremony for the Olympics. I know I didn't experience, but you experienced it. Talk to me about how that impacted you and some of the experience you went through.
Sometimes when you play on a team, there's a lot of different teams. When you play for America, there's one team, and you're bonded by the USA on your chest. And I might try out for me, but I play for you. I play for this country. And the fans might not know me personally, but they cheer for me. It's one of the most incredible bonds you can ever have in sports. And to have been a part of it when I was in high school, I've been on two Olympic teams, the one where we won the silver medal in Montreal in '76, and then '80 we had the boycott with Russia. So it's very special, and I'll never trade that moment for anything.
That 76 team was actually elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame last year. But I want to touch on that 80 team that boycotted the Olympics. How tough a decision was that for you?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. I can remember we had gone through training camp. Pat Summitt was our coach, and we're they took us out of practice and they put us in this big room, and there was a TV up, and all the different sports were in there, both men and women. And when President Carter said, because Russia has invaded Afghanistan, the United States will not be going to the Olympics, you could hear an audible sigh, crying. I felt bad for so many of those athletes because they're what you would call Olympic athletes. They didn't have another pro league to go to, and I was getting ready, to go to college, so I knew that I had a path for something. And it was really sad. It was one of the days that you really don't want to remember because of the sadness that was in the room that day.
I was in a restaurant just last night, and the waiter, one of the guys walked past me and said to me, "I don't know who you are, but I love you on Cam and May's show." He basically recognized me from being a guest on Cam and May's show, not my body of work. I say that to ask you a question. Does it bother you when people forget what the great Ann Myers, Nancy Lieberman, Cheryl Miller, what they've done to establish today's superstars in the WNBA?
It's a good question. No, actually, because I remember a couple years ago, I was walking through an airport and this guy came chasing me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. I have loved watching you." He goes, "Are you Cheryl Miller?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll tell Reggie you say hi." That is people have called me Ann Myers, but to call me Cheryl, I call Cheryl, I go, "Dude, you have a twin." it was, and the guy was like hugging me, and I'm like, somebody somebody had to set this dude up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, because this is a true story. When I was at the Women's Sports Foundation, when Michael Jordan, when he retired for the first time, it had to be the early '90s. So Doug Flutie was giving Jackie Joyner-Kersee the Female Athlete of the Year award, and Doug says, "I have to tell this story." And he says, "Last night I was watching TV and a commercial came on, and my 5-year-old daughter, Alexa, she goes, they're watching the Gatorade commercial. Anything you can do, I can do better." Remember that? With
Yes.
Michael and Mia. And the little girl says to her daddy, "Daddy, who's the man in the commercial with Mia?" After that, if you don't know me, it's okay.
So Nancy, I know we've spoken about over the years you playing against men at every single level. I want to know, in the beginning, growing up in Far Rockaway, Queens, what was it like going to the parks and playing against men? What was those beginning stages like?
It's a great question, Blue. For me, it was very important because I really struggled, and it took me a long time to get to the place, what I'm going to say to you today. because I was so busy hiding behind being Nancy Lieberman and this basketball player, and I didn't want people to think I wasn't who I am supposed to be. But I had a tough upbringing. I had no father. I had no food. I had no heat. I had no electricity. We were one grandparent away from food stamps. I was getting in fistfights every day at PS 104 and Far Rockaway High School, Junior High School 180, because like my backpack was a brown paper garbage bag, and I had a belt tied around it, and people would make fun of me, and I didn't have conflict resolution. And it just hurt me that people were so mean. So I started playing sports. And that's when I started, going to the park at PS 104 and getting in playing football, baseball, basketball. And basketball was the last sport that I played. I was playing on a PAL baseball team. I went to Beach 17th Street for our first game with a T-shirt that said PAL, and I was a starting shortstop. And Smitty, this red-haired guy who was our coach, and he took me on the side and he goes, "Nancy, I've got bad news for you." And I'm like, "What?" He says, "You're not going to be able to play. They won't insure you because you're a girl."
Wow.
That crushed me. And I went over to the local YMCA, the Gustav YMCA, and I walked in and I said, "Do you have leagues?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "Can I play in the league?" He goes, "We only have boys leagues." I said, "Will you let me play in the boys league? Will you insure me?" And I wish I knew the guy. He says, "You can play here anytime you want in any league you want." And that was a turning point for me. That, and then going up to Harlem as a young person and just, taking the A train,
Yeah.
switching to Manhattan, going to 155th, putting T-shirts in my jackets. I looked menacing. This. I had that glare. I was like 120 pounds, flaming red hair. And I just would growl at people on the train, like do it to them before they did it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And just walking into Rucker and everybody just looking at me like, "Are you lost?" No, are you? And this little girl, "You know who you are?" I said, "Yeah, I'm at Rucker Park." And I looked at him, I go, "Is your name Rucker?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Good, it's not your park." And my mom don't know I'm here, and I stole $2 from her wallet, and I heard you guys were good, and I really need to be good. And it like cut through everything. The level of love, kindness, protection, guys riding the train home with me at night, coming in my house, and my mother kind of tilting her head like a puppy. "Who are they?" I said, "They my friends." "How do you know them?" "Ma, we won 3 games in a row at Rucker Park." "You weren't at the park." I said, "Yeah, I went to a different park. I went to Harlem." He's like, "What is wrong with you? Do you know what can happen?" And I said, "I wasn't going to hurt anybody. I just wanted to
Yeah.
play basketball." So I was teaching my mother not to be racist, not to be profiling people. I said, "Ma, they're hungry. Ronald, Donald, and Gary, they're hungry. Can you please feed them?" And that's where it started. I mean, honestly, I was protected and celebrated by the Black community. That's why I do so much with my charity, because it's been my time to repay the thank you to people who protected me, encouraged me, and said I could be something when people were telling me I couldn't be something. I
Well,
mean, "You're stupid, you're dumb, you're never going to make anything of yourself. You need to go see a psychologist. Why are you hanging out with Black people?" There I was again, getting another fist fight. My mom said, "You can't fight everybody." Here I am.
well, talk to me because I know you touched on it. I know how important it is and how impactful it is, your charity and the things that you do.
It's there was a conversation. There's always a story behind the answer. So, you mentioned that I go to Old Dominion. I get a scholarship. I play on the Olympic team in high school. Look, guys, I didn't know if I was going to kill you, but I didn't know if I was going to kill me. At 12 or 13 or 14 years old, I hated my life except for sports. So I see Muhammad Ali on TV. I fall in love with this guy at 10 years old. I saw her walking around the house talking like this, telling people what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. I'm going to be the greatest of all time. My mom says, what is wrong with you? Why are you talking like that? I don't know. I'm just going to be the greatest of all times. And this is stupid stuff but real that I'm telling you. So I everything I could research on Ali, I did. I get a scholarship to college. We win back-to-back national championships. We go 125 and 15 my 4 years. Mark, you said player of the year 2 times in college. Going into my senior year, I get asked by the Olympic Committee, greatest blessing of my life, to go home to New York to do an appearance at the New York Stock Exchange for the Olympic Committee to raise money. Going up the escalator with my mom, my best friend Barbara, and I'm fake acting like, I'm like, yo, like who's the other athlete with me? And he goes, yeah, we're going to the green room. I'm like, well, who's the other athlete? And we're getting ready to go, and he goes, it's you and Muhammad Ali. And I'm like, he's here? Muhammad Ali is here? The door opens, Oprah's moment. I cannot breathe. My mother goes up to him, embarrassing me. My Vini Lieberman from Queens, and my daughter is the greatest of all time. Lady, there's no with me. So he calls me over. He knew I was full of crap. He knew that I was damaged. He asked if we could go back to his hotel that night. We sat in his suite for 3-4 hours.
Wow.
This man taught me about racism. He taught me about philanthropy. He taught me about being an everyday champion. At 20 years old, he taught me to respect everybody and fear nobody. He just taught me there were so many nuggets, be the giver, not the taker. And he kept saying, Nancy, the most famous Muslim in the world was sitting in a room with a little Jewish girl. And he's like, God made you special. And I'm like, you know God too. You know everybody, Muhammad. That's amazing. What is he like? Is he nice? And those words, he goes, I ain't letting you go. He didn't want me on the street. And he never let me go for 37 years.
Wow.
So I would ask him, I'm like, I didn't know that my friends are hurting. Like, they feel bad. Gary and Ronald and Donald, they feel bad. They seem really happy. He goes, Nancy, it hit me hard. And I was like, God, if you just make me something, if you make me special, if you take me out of my hood, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do good things for people. And so Ali, calling me in college and, staying in touch with me. And he changed my life. And I decided when I started making money as a professional that I wanted to give some. So I took the things that changed my life. The concentric circle of who I am is I'm a baller, right? This is that dot. I'm a mom. I'm a coach. I'm a philanthropist. I'm a TV, person, analyst. All those rungs expanded. But if something happens, Blue, I'm a baller. That's who I am at the core of who I am. And I was thinking, college changed my life. So it took me away and allowed me to be around people that didn't look like me, didn't talk like me, didn't act like me. And you never know who that next person in your life is, who is going to, take you to another level. And I started thinking, if I could take some of my friends who don't look like me and get them to college, even strangers to college. So we've sent 100 high school seniors to college.
Wow.
The last 5 or 6 years, we've really pushed HBCUs since the murder of George Floyd and wanting them to feel the history of Black America, of Black collegiate America. I'm not forcing anybody to go there, but we're really want that door opened. Then the Dream Courts, and we're opening our 130th Dream Court with Ice Cube and PNG in Cincinnati on Sunday for the Big Three. 130 of them.
Wow.
The court, that basketball court that we love, saved my life. Mark, you don't know this. It saved my life because I'm a critical thinker because of sports. I know inertia. I know angles. I know arc. I know teamwork. I know accountability. I know responsibility. I know how to be, how to win and how to lose. I know that I have more points than you, Blue. I win, you lose. Right? It taught me everything. And that confidence, I didn't have to beat everybody up. I could just go to this dream court in my head that saved my life. So we have over 5.5 million children around the country playing on our dream courts. And we have education, we have STEM, financial literacy, kids and cops, career readiness, and civic engagement. You can shadow a police chief, you can go into their forensic lab, you can follow the mayor, the deputy mayor, council people, learn a little bit, and then figure out what you want to do. And we track these kids. We have graduating classes. I'm going to invite you guys to Dream Ball this year.
Please do.
Please.
Honoring Jason Kidd and Lisa Bluter. And we've honored Q. We've honored, Muhammad Ali. There's so many, Dr. J, Winona Judd, Billy Crystal. I just look in my book and I'm like, who will bless me and say yes? It's a beautiful affair. We'll raise $1.5 million and we're giving it away. We're sending kids to college. We're building dream forts. We do racial and social justice lecture series. We do 4 colleges, 4 high schools. And I went to Wiley. We lost Tiffany Jackson, the great coach and friend and baller. She asked, we were on stage together like 4 months before she died. And this woman at Wiley, she got up and she gave me the hip. I had a mama getting up, giving me the hip. Why are you here? I said, why are you here? I went straight New York I'm just here. So, why are you here? And she says, I said, I had a choice here. I can either be here or not be here. You had a choice. You can be here or not be here. Why don't you at least listen to what I have to say? And if you don't like me in an hour, you don't have to come back because I'm coming back. and like the hour, we had this conversation like we're doing right now. And I said, dude, I'm your person. I'm the white person who ain't afraid to stand up and look at people and go, there's discrimination. Women of color are the lowest on the totem pole financially, earning between $58 and $67 cents on the dollar. I'm the one saying, take somebody when you rise, take somebody who doesn't look with you up with you. I'm that person. And instead of people go, well, it's black people, they're just, I'm like, shut the hell up. No. I'm your person.
I know that's right.
I'm Big Mike from The Blind Side. I have protective instincts. And that's who I am. I'm not going to be here forever, but I'm going to fight the fight because I know. You know what you know what you know. God doesn't make mistakes. I'm the right person at the right time for the right assignment. He picked me. Mm-hmm. That's why, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I know what this has done for me as an angry kid. And now he's given me millions and millions of dollars for me to give away to people to help them to change their trajectory of life. Strangers put money in a can in 1974 to go to the Olympic tryouts. My mom says, I can't even put food on the table. You want me to fly you to Albuquerque, New Mexico? The can went around my neighborhood. Strangers put money in a cup. So we all need each other. We're built to commune. My dream courts are communiversities. We educate. We spend time with each other. We share. When I was with Ali for all those years, I wanted to be the greatest of all times because I thought that was my self-esteem that I needed. And I realized I set the bar so low. I didn't need that. As you get older, right, Mark?
That's right.
We think we need like New York Knicks or Denver Nuggets. No, we just need to do what we're ordained to do for people. I couldn't be happier where I am today. I love doing the TV for Oklahoma City, for the Thunder. I love being whatever they call me, a pioneer. I was an unpaid pioneer. I told Caitlin Clark, you were a paid pioneer. Okay, paid pioneer. There's a 2-year-old out there that's going to be in 20 years, 22 years old, and because of what you all did, we all did together, she's going to be making $8-9 million a year just playing in the W. So you're paid pioneers, and I'm not mad at you, but I wouldn't mind an autographed jersey.
So, Nancy, I know you speak about your philanthropy and just everything that you're doing in the community. How did you balance it? I know that your son played college basketball, also played overseas. How did you balance that and impacting his life as a mother?
I love being a mom. I think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It makes you selfless. You're on the same screen with somebody who is selfless in your daddy. And it's a tricky little balance. Like somebody asked me the other day about LeBron and Bronny, and I'm like, the guy gave 20 years to the game. He's broken almost every record. He's done so much with his school and just what he's done. Never gets in trouble. Just has been elite at everything. And so the give back is to say you should be able to play with your son. Why not? Bronny's going to figure out. He's going to determine whether he can stay at that level or not. Right? Like the Griffeys, when Doc was coaching Austin. Now I get to, and I ran it by Cube. I said, I know you and Clyde, who's the commissioner of the Big Three, talk about this is family, and Julius has Jules on his bench with him, and George Gervin has his son George on the bench with him. And I said, I know you don't know me this well. If my son couldn't play, I'd cut him. Okay. I'm not going to put my reputation on the line for my son, TJ. I love him and I'll cook for him, but I'm not, people trust me. If he can play, I'd like to put him on my team. And, I think the world has seen that TJ is a high level baller, a consistent corner three away from potentially the league. He played, with the Bucks in summer league for 2 years. He played with the Go-Go, the G League team with the Wizards. You got to be lucky too. But I'm proud to coach my son. It's an honor. And a lot of people in life don't have that, right? Mom has to be at that level, but son has to be at that level. So, maybe you open up the door for other people to say, that would be cool to be able to do that.
Well, to me, you got a great confidence about you, but you also, being around you, got a nastiness, competitive drive. So my question to you is, in my research, and obviously I know you well, you played for the Washington Generals. How did you tolerate the losing night in and night out to the Harlem Globetrotters?
Well, first we went 0-200. Then I started to think we're ambassadors for this great game, and every arena around the world we play in is sold out. And you could be just dead tired because there are times we played like 25 nights in a row, different cities. And you walk in the arena and you get this burst of energy because this little kid is just like, oh my gosh, the Globetrotters. So, you have to put it in perspective. The good news is, I was the only girl on the Generals. I met my husband on the Generals, right? I met Tim. So without Tim, I don't have TJ. So this whole thing was a blessing. The hardest part for me, Mark, and Coach Riley, Pat Riley and I still talk about this, is I played for him in 1980. I played for the Lakers in Summer League. And all those documentaries like Showtime, there's been like one or two of those like major documentaries. It filled in all the blanks for me. So I'm playing at 13th Street at Xavier High School in New York, Charlie Chris, some of those guys back in 1980. And Jane Pauley comes down and does an interview with me, some chicks playing against NBA guys. Dr. Buss and Jerry West saw this on TV. The next day, Jerry calls me, goes, Nancy, Jerry West. I'm like, yeah, I hate you. You said against the Knicks, against over Willis. I'm still not happy with you. He goes, okay, can we move on? And so he says, we'd like you to come play for the Lakers. So a day later, I'm on an airplane playing for Pat Riley, who just came out of the TV booth. And Pat didn't want me. They call him in. They say, hey, Nancy Lieberman, he goes, no, it's my first coaching job. And I told the guys when they were, up on the wall last night stretching that this was going to be a serious, deal. And remember Zam Frederick and Brad Holland and some of those guys, those are my teammates. And so we get to practice. It was a legendary 3-hour Pat Riley practice. I mean, he was killing us. And every time he says, I need 5 guys, I ran out on the court. And his assistant coach was Mike Tebow, by the way. And I'm on the court, I'd mess up. They coach me up. I get repetition. I walk off. I understand what he's trying to do on the offensive end. And I walk off and I go, hey, guys, next 5, if you don't know how to run that, I do. So I'd be happy to help you. This is a Pat telling this story, by the way. And so he goes into the coaches meeting after practice and he's just like out of sorts. He goes, what are we going to do with her? What are we going to do with her? She walks on the court. She starts telling people where to go, how to go, what to run. They beat her up. They knocked her down. She didn't cry. And she tried to start 2 fist fights. What are we going to do with her? And they said, she's going to stay. And Pat is telling this story before I got coaching in the NBA with the Kings. He's telling this at the NBA Coaches Symposium that Vinny Del Negro had with the Clippers. And I'm sitting with Nick Nurse because we coached together in the G League or against each other in the G League. And I have my iPad. I got to send you the video. And Pat is the speaker. And he's talking about sometimes you don't know who's going to be an influence in your life. And he says, matter of fact, I had a situation, and he starts recanting what I just said to you. And he goes, so now I have Nancy Lieberman and I'm holding this. And I'm like, and Nick's like, you played for him? I'm like, stop talking. Holding this iPad up. And he goes, Nancy, isn't it true that, and he goes, you got into a fight? I go, stop talking when he's talking about me. This is important, Nick. And and he's probably like, what is going on? And so Pat has told this story, for paid gigs all around the country. And he goes, at the end, what happened? End of summer league, we get in 4 games later, Nancy's our starting point guard. And at the end, 1, 2, 3, Nancy. He goes, isn't that right? And I look at Nick, don't say anything. I said, yes. I was so embarrassed. So he's been telling this story and he says, she changed my life. And I'm like, I did? He goes, I felt overwhelmed so many times when I was with the Lakers and the Knicks. And he says, I would think of you every practice that you were outmanned. They were bigger, stronger, faster, but your heart and your mind, you thought you were the best player on the court. And I was like, it wasn't. 20 years later. So I use I'm a minimalist. I'm very sarcastic. I think I'm funny. TJ says I'm not, but there's a lot of truth, right? That's how I live my life. And I'm doing a game with the Thunder, and they're playing the Heat a couple years ago. And I always knock on the door. I probably came in your locker room too when you were coaching, just to say hi. And Spoelstra says, hey, Nancy, come in here. And he was with one of his assistants. He goes, Pat was just talking about you yesterday. I go, he's always making money off of my good name. And he goes, he says that you played for him. So he tells me what Pat said. He goes, tell me what you say. Told him the same story. He goes, son of a gun. He was telling me the truth. I go, yeah. So I played for Pat. Then I played for Frank Layton with the Jazz. 2 years in the USBL with Spud and Manute and Muggsy. I didn't have my prime. I wish I had those 17 years in the W to compete. I didn't have it. I had to play against guys like you, and you made me better. I don't have the stats, but you made me better.
Well, I'll say this because we're talking about all-time coaches, and I'll give you a stat right now. I want to bring up one of your victories. I heard that you got challenged by Jeff Van Gundy to race up a hill one day back in the day. Can you talk about this story? Because this is a win we need to hear about.
Ooh, your dad okey doked me on that. Okay? I had my hands up, but I didn't see it coming. We're doing a game. I have the privilege of working with your dad and Van Gundy. So in San Antonio, they have that ramp that they train the guys on and little sand on the side. That they do a great job. So Van Gundy was mouthing off about he could do this and what a great athlete he was, right? And so I don't know if I said, or it was like, let's go. So he goes, I can beat you. He was, I don't know, I was 50 something years old. And he goes, I could beat a 50-year-old. Okay. So we run. And as I go by him and I kind of look at him and he stops and it's that grip that for your shoes. But if you sit on it, it'll tear your clothes off because it's tacky. He's sliding down. So okay, we had fun. We do the game. And the next thing I think Mark says, and they show the video. They showed it for like 3 games in a row. You had another game that I wasn't on. I'm sitting in my house watching the game and I'm like, oh my gosh. And you kept throwing to that video. And Van Gundy's like, Jeff is like, oh, Anthony Van Doan or whoever his trainer was, you're officially fired because
That is hilarious.
It was a great story, and I was honored to be part of it and to watch it.
Let me tell you something, another thing you guys did for me that you don't know. I was the oldest player in the W. I was a rookie at 39 when the league started in 97 with the Mercury. And then I came back and played at 50 for Detroit. So I played Saturday on ESPN, and then I went back to my real job with you guys on a Monday. We're in LA. You're interviewing Phil Jackson. We're in the pre-interviews, like at shoot-around. And I walk out. I was sat in the back and I'm listening to you guys. And I'm walking down the hall, and Kobe goes, Nancy. And I'm like, hi, Kobe Bryant. And you got 15 minutes? I'm like, yes. He takes me in a side room. We sit down, and he goes, Natalia, Vanessa, and I watched you play Saturday. I go, oh, that's really cool. He goes, how did you feel? How did you train? What did your body feel like? What were you eating? Did you drink water? What were you taking? Electrolytes? Why did you do it? Mentally, I felt like I was in a think tank with him. And I finally looked at him and I went, You did win the MVP last year, and you did win the NBA championship, and you're asking a 50-year-old white woman how she feels? This is extraordinary. And it took my respect to another level for him, because he didn't care who was giving him information to be better, but he wanted to know, like, mentally, how I viewed, was I scared? Was I not? What was my confidence like? Why would you put your legacy on the line? And I kept telling him, I respect everybody and I fear nobody. I didn't get a chance to play in my prime. I needed to close the door on my career because my brother, Deion Sanders, didn't get to close the door on his career in DC when he played for Marty Schottenheimer, and it didn't play out. And that's why he came back at 37 years old, because he didn't get to go out on his terms. I wanted to go out on my terms. And that was something, after spending so much time with Prime and him talking about that, I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to get in shape because I respect everybody. I know it's going to be hard. And really, that really solidified my relationship with Kobe. And, you know, TJ, I'm in the studio doing games, and Matt Bonner, and who is it up in, I forget who else, but Greg Buckner, they're doing their games. And they're in front of me in the studio at Fox. And I'm behind them, and they're talking. Ed, can you believe that Kobe said that women couldn't play in, against women? And I, you now know me better. And I go, I'm here. I'm right behind you. I said, I played against you guys because I had no league. I was willing. It wasn't optimal, but it was doable. Okay. I know what it's like to get hit by a Karl Malone, scream, or pick up a charge on Mark Eaton at 5'10" and 150. It's not, clinically, I hadn't talked to Dr. Phil about why I did it, but I wanted to play the game so much that I loved it. So, yeah. So, I still have it on my phone. I said, well, let's just ask Kobe. So I text him and I go, Kobe, there's a couple radicals that I'm working with. He goes, radicals? I go, yeah, men. And they are arguing about what you said to the media the other day. And he says, when do you want to talk about it? I said, when are you available? He goes, now. Guys, I got an hour's worth of text messages. This is January 24th, Friday night, 2020.
Wow.
And I can't even use the cuss words that are on my on my phone right now, but he's like, yeah, these, Joe warriors think that they can dominate women and da-da-da. And he goes, you played for the Lakers. And I went, you know that? Of course. So we had been talking, and this is a good lesson for all of us in this family today. Kobe and I had been talking for 2 years about me going out and putting Gigi's team through practice for a day. And then life got busy and we're doing all this stuff. We never did it. He called me. Oh, he texted me. He goes, are we doing this? I said, yes, I can do it next week. I have TV Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I couldn't be there Saturday because I was doing an appearance in Palm Springs. I called TJ, who was just landing or going to Italy because he was playing for Maccabi Tel Aviv, and they land on Sunday. So TJ knew that Kobe and I were talking about putting Gigi's team through practice. I didn't get to talk to him on Saturday. Saturday night after midnight, Kobe calls me because he's chop. I'm like, hey, Kobe, yeah, how you doing? He goes, okay. Details, right? You'll fly in, you'll Uber to the house, we'll grab some food, we'll hop on the helicopter, you go to the Mamba, you have as long as you want with Gigi and her team, and if you need me. And I'm like, duh, of course I need you. So we had the plan set. I go to this conference, TJ, this is God. I put my phone on silent, or I thought I put my phone on silent because I didn't want it to go off in this auditorium with 500 people. I sit in the last seat always, aisle, because I have the attention span of a fly. If you ever hire me, coach, I have the attention span of a fly, but I'm a hard worker. So my phone is ringing like the ringer, and I grab my purse and I bust out through the doors behind me. And it's TJ. And I'm like, TJ, I'm at a conference. He goes, Mother, you can tell, you know that tone, right, Dad? And I go, TJ, what's wrong? He goes, Mom, you haven't heard. I said, heard what? He goes, Kobe Bryant died. I go, no, he didn't. I just talked to him last night. He goes, Mom, his helicopter crashed and I thought you were on the helicopter. So if my phone is on silent, my son doesn't hear from me for 2 hours. He probably thinks I died. But by the grace of God, it never went. I don't know why it didn't go to vibrate, but it was
Mm.
on. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. I heard the Secret Service guy before I almost hit the ground go, "It's Miss Lieberman," and somebody grabbed me. One of the most difficult for me, I'm sure everybody had it, but that was too close. And that guy was so kind to me. You have no clue the love, the kindness, the mentorship that he gave me. And he treated everybody so special. Like we were like, he knew Ronaldo and Messi. He knew he knew everybody, and like everybody, Djokovic. Everybody thought that we had this like, man, we got this friendship. Well, he had this friendship with like 100 people. I thought he was one of my besties, and then it was like 100 other besties. I'm like, how does he do that?
Yeah.
He's missed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he used to call me the Mama Mamba. I said, why am I the Mama Mamba? Is it because I'm old? But you're mean as a snake. You're just a mama. I said, I am mean as a snake. I am. And he said to me, he goes, "You're a dog." And I go, "I'm not a dog. I'm a wolf because wolf eat dogs."
There we go.
And he goes, "What is wrong with you?" I go, "I don't know."
But there's obviously no easy way to transition from talking about Kobe. We all miss him dearly. But if you could just give us some thoughts of the current state of the WNBA game and what you see as far as these young stars that are up and coming.
I couldn't be happier. There's not a negative or jealous bone in my body. They are beautiful women. They have a voice. They believe in themselves. They expect to have a WNBA. They expect equality. They expect women of color to be treated as royalty if deserved in their,
Mm-hmm.
location. It's a different mindset. And the league is in such great hands, with this new, $76 billion TV contract, 2.2 billion going to the W, which is
Yes.
phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how it's going to be divvied up, but Mark and Blue, like I've shared with some of the other athletes who put so much time, effort to build this league. Not just me, the Tarasis, the Renee Montgomerys, the Birds, the Grinders, the Catchings. The list is too long. But the way you get to generational wealth is rev share, right? We never got, the NBA gets 51% of $76 billion. And then 2.2 is going to graciously go to the W. They'll probably send money to Basketball Africa, Basketball India,
Mm-hmm.
the G League, and the rest. So the NBA guys have been very generous to the Retired Players Association, the NBRPA, health insurance, which some of those guys never had because of the financial structure of the league back then. So we're so much farther ahead, the W, than the men were. We're playing in sellout arenas. And then I'm going to get to Angel and I'm going to get to Caitlin because we have to thank them for what they're doing, for Rikia and for, Cameron and for Camilla. We have to thank these young players. They have brought their audience to us. We can't be jealous of them or envious. I'm not envious of Tarasi. I'm not envious of Bird. We can't be envious of them. They are going to give you generational wealth. The top 5 rated games in the W, in the history of the W right now, and you can fact check me, I might be wrong, but Caitlin Clark has played in all 5 of those games. And if people are like, Caitlin Clark, you know what? We build people up, then we try to chop them down. We did that to Michael Jordan. We did that to Tiger Woods. Michael came in from North Carolina in 1984. He goes to the NBA, Chicago Stadium. You know this, Mark, was half empty every time he played there. All the arenas all over the NBA are getting filled. The merch is going off the shelves, even though most of them were MJ 23 jerseys. Then TV ratings started to flourish. And, we became this global, powerful league. This is what's happening with the W. Michael gave NBA players generational wealth. Tiger Woods goes to the PGA, the purses go up, everything goes up, and it's a situation where TV ratings go. I mean, the players in the PGA all need to thank Tiger Woods for the eyeballs that he brought to the TV. Whether you like him, don't like him, love him, I respect him for what he did for the sport. The same with MJ. So if Caitlin Clark can bring the enormous amount of eyeballs to the TV, new eyeballs, new people coming into the arena, a younger generation, there's an expectation of financial stability, right? You want long-term sustainability and growth. This is what's happening right now for women in sports. And I asked Billie Jean King this, because Billie's been a friend of mine since I was 22 years old. And Billie at 22 said, Nancy, you're going to have to help change the world. She sounded like Muhammad said to me at 22 years old. I mean, I hear you, but I don't know how I'm going to do this. These young women are going to change the world. They're doing such a great job. And I know they're making the Angel Caitlin thing, racial. And you know what? They're friends. For the people who don't know this, they're friends. And you can say whatever you want and shape shift it as you see fit in today's world. Everything's division and protesting and anger, and everybody has an opinion, and apparently we're entitled to it, whether you're right or wrong. These women are doing something powerful together. Clearly, Asia Wilson is the best player in the world. We all know that. She's not being left out. Did you not see the side of the building in Paris today? And it said Asia. I was like, that is so cool. I was fangirling. Yeah. She's doing commercials with Barkley and all these other great athletes. They're all millionaires. Breonna Stewart's a millionaire. Sue Bird's a millionaire. Atraci's a millionaire. Asia's a millionaire. Kelsey Plum's a millionaire. They're not Phil Jackson, who signed a 2-year contract in 67 and 68 with the Knicks for $12,000 and $13,000. This is really good. Let's not screw it up. Should I get off my pulpit?
No, you're doing fine. I got a question for you though. The Mama Mamba, how would you react if you're in your prime and you take the hit that Caitlin Clark took in the middle of a game?
Okay, you know what I said, okay? I have known Kennedy Carter since she was in high school. She's a Dallas gal. Let me just say this for the record. She's got a great family. This woman should have been an all-star. I'm not happy she was left off the all-star team. She should have been there in Phoenix. She's having a killer season. This wasn't aimed towards her. This was when I was on with Chandler and Lou and Michelle, and they said, we got to ask you a question. And so I'm going to ask you to bear with me and lack of filter.
No, give us the edited version, please.
But I'm going to do my best. But they said, if somebody did that to you, what would you have done? And what would you have said to Caitlin Clark? I said, it's not my job to speak for Caitlin Clark. But they said, what happens if somebody, I said, I would get up, I'd walk over to them, I'd punch them in the face, and I'd tell them to f off. Okay.
That's the edited version?
This is what really happened. So they clipped it, which is, I'm fine with that. I'm doing the Wings game that night. I'm doing TV for the Dallas Wings. TJ's blowing up my phone, and we hadn't started yet. I'm like, TJ, what's wrong? He's like, Mom, here we go again. Mom. I go, what? He goes, you're trending. I said, trending on what? He goes, you've gone viral. You're trending on what is it? Yahoo. What do you trend on? Twitter?
Yahoo, Twitter X.
You trend on
X,
everything now.
I said, what am I trending on? He goes, and he sends me the clip, and I go, yeah, that's what it said. So, Spoon called me, who I adore. And she goes, Nance, I mean, my queen. I go, okay, I Spoon, this is what I would have done. I'm not talking about Kennedy, and I'm not talking about Caitlin. And she goes, well, then I have to go back and deal with this. And I'm like, please, I mean, the kid's amazing. So I don't want her to think I'm coming at her. And then, people are going to make it a white black thing, right? Like, stop. If you know me, you've been with me now for 40 minutes. That's not going to happen here. You can't hit me with the, you hate gay people. You can't hit me with, you don't like black people. You can't hit me with your xenophobe, whatever you want. Wrong woman to be running those, those, words at me. So, I'm comfortable in who I am, what I do. And, my faith is strong. You're not going to knock me off of that. We're one generation of losing Christianity if we don't teach our kids about God.
Amen.
Right.
So, I always tell people my backcourt's set. I got Jesus and Moses. So I'm looking for a big. I could use a big. I told that to Jerry West. He goes, do you want to come back and coach in the league? I said, yeah, I would love to come back and coach. I'd probably blow your phone up half the time when you get a job offer. Because I connect with these guys.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me to connect with, the Jalen's or the Kyries or, some of the other, players around the league. It means the world to me because I'm a teacher. That's all I want to do is make them better, get them to their next contract, give them the why, not insult them and tell them what horrible human beings they are. There's a lot of pressure on you guys. You're big as coaches as well. You're big, you're strong. You've done amazing things for us as women. At the end of the day, you're little boys. You want to be loved. You want to be cared for. You want somebody to advocate for you. And I tell people all the time, stop picking on guys. Every job I've ever had, I've been hired by a man. He could have hired somebody else. So, yeah, we need you to advocate for us too, in certain situations. So.
Well,
Couple more questions. Go ahead, Blue.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Click the link in the description and use the promo code MARK. They're matching the first time deposit of up to $250. We appreciate you guys.
You've been kind with your time, Nancy. Just a couple more questions. You just celebrated another birthday. What a blessing. You've seen a lot of basketball players, a lot of basketball playing. Who is the GOAT basketball player in your opinion?
Oh, yes, I have seen them all, going back to West and Chamberlain. We're splitting hairs with MJ and LeBron. I have such respect for Michael Jordan and what he did in the 6 championships. I know I'm not waffling. And what LeBron has done is unquestioned. For me, I'm going to still go with Michael Jordan, but they're both on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest, and LeBron might be the greatest athlete. And, he's got EQ and IQ. There's intellectual intelligence and there's emotional intelligence. He has skill and will. He gets it. He understands it. Look at the players in the league. Look how Steph Curry, the reverence that people have for LeBron. Actually, I have that reverence. And we were at that USA party a couple weeks ago in Vegas, where they honored the 50-year anniversary of the USA basketball. And they had players from all the teams, whoever was, surviving, still around. And then they had the men's team. I was stunned that Steph and Booker and LeBron and Bam and all those guys were there. They were so kind to the older Olympians. I mean, Steph was taking pictures with everybody. LeBron was amazing. And I admire that. I admire that you can have such greatness, but you can still have that kindness and that humility for what somebody else did. So I don't know if I answered your question, but MJ, but they're both the best.
No, you did. Two more. Give me your all-time, not including yourself, your all-time women's starting five.
My starting five would be Taurasi, Tamika Catchings, Lisa Leslie, I'm going to put Brittany Griner on that team, and Sue Bird.
Wow.
That's an interesting lineup. You left a lot of greats off that list. That's a tough list, accomplished list, but very tough.
I picked players that won championships.
Mm.
You have to. I believe you have to have somebody in your locker room who can tell a story about winning. Because even like when we won the championship in the Big Three, and I had Big Baby Davis, Quentin Richardson, Corey Maggette, Katino Mobley, and Birdman, Chris Anderson. Only two players on my team had ever won. Birdman won 2 rings with Miami, and Baby won a ring with the Celtics. But look at the career Corey Maggette has had. That's greatness. He was MVP of our league. Katino Mobley, that guy is off the charts amazing. And one of the greatest players for me to ever coach as a human being, Quentin Richardson. Q is just a delight. They had never won. They had never won the chip. And for them to be able to win, and have their children see this and be a part of what they were doing meant the world to me, to be quite honest.
Last question from me. Here's where we separate. We're both born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, players, coaches, announcers. Obviously, you're in the Hall of Fame. I'm just a guy doing a podcast with my son. But here's where we separate. As kids growing up in New York City, you were determined and dedicated to wear number 10 as a tribute to Walt Clyde Frazier. My entire life until I got to high school when I couldn't no longer wear it, I wore number 15 for Earl of Pearl Monroe. Talk about Clyde's impact on your life.
He changed everything for me. Actually, Clyde is the one that I ultimately aligned with number-wise, probably because of our positions. But Willis Reed, who became just a friend, I actually stalked him at the Hall of Fame events. And Dr. J. I mean, that was my era of greatness. Knicks were winning. Dr. J was amazing with the Nets. And so Clyde, he had that coolness. He just made everybody on the court better, where Willis was the captain. Clyde would go behind the back. He'd have that pull-up shot. He was a great rebounding guard. He was, one of the best defenders. And I wanted to have that all-around game. And I used to close my eyes at night, and you'll, I think, appreciate this, Mark. And I would hear the late John Condon, right? The voice of Madison.
Absolutely.
And he would say, "Welcome to the magic world of Madison Square Garden Center. Tonight, your New York Knicks take on whomever. Starting for your Knicks, number 10, Walt Frazier. At the other guard, number 10A, Nancy Lieberman." I used to think about playing in the Garden when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Women had never played in Madison Square Garden. Then I played there on the USA team. And before, that morning, we had shoot around. Coaches are looking for me. I'm sitting in the blue seats. I wanted to sit in the blue seats. Those are fans right there.
Yeah.
And then I played there twice at Old Dominion. And the aura of playing in Madison Square Garden. And I always we'd use the locker room, and I'd say, "Which is Walt's locker room?" and I wanted to use Walt's locker room. The same way when I was coaching in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings, when we played the Clippers, they would put me or Becky in the Laker locker room. I'm going to send you this picture. So I put my skirt and my top and my heels in Kobe's locker, click, took a picture, sent it to him and said, if you want to talk, I'm here. And he goes, you are not putting that picture out. I go, I have it. I'm not a good human being. But Walt Frazier, the first time I met him, we were doing an event. You know Brandon Steiner, right? We were all young and Steiner Sports. And we were doing this charity appearance in New York. And there was Walt Frazier. I was like 23 years old. And I was like, and they introduced us. And I was like, so about 30 minutes later, after I couldn't speak, I walked up to him and said, Walt, you are my hero. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't say anything to you before. And he was telling me how he had watched me play at Old Dominion. And I almost like fell over. So he had Walt Frazier Enterprises. So I incorporated Nancy Lieberman Enterprises. He had a place in St. Croix. I bought a place in St. Croix. Stalkerish. Yes. And we've become friends. Like once a year or so, I'll just pick up the phone and go, hi. I just wanted to say hi and let you know I love you. That's nice. It.
That is absolutely awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's been a thrill and a privilege and an honor to have you on the show. Gave us unbelievable amount of nuggets, dropped 150 names, but I know you, so I know you just like Kobe. Those are 150 dear friends that you communicate with constantly. You're a living legend, so nothing but love and appreciation and respect for Lady Magic, the great Nancy Lieberman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Blue. Thank you.
Love you, sis.
Love you too.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. That's the dynamic one, Blue. Thanks so much to the legend, Nancy Lieberman, for joining us. Remember, I normally work out by myself, and I get a lot accomplished. But yesterday, I worked out with my daughter Heaven. She inspired, she encouraged, she motivated. It's so crucial and important to partner with somebody that can take you to the next level. That's better. She's in better shape. She's in better condition than me. So she pushed me. And I want to acknowledge that. But it blessed my heart even more so because every now and then she'd be ahead of me and she'd turn around and say, are you okay? Are you all right? So it's important to find somebody that inspires, motivates, and encourages, but more importantly, find somebody that cares enough about you to check on you. Don't miss your shout.